Hi there everyone. Today we'll be doing the high school selective placement test, which is the test year 6 students do in order to get into a selective school in year 7. So today I'll be going through the mathematics test, which has 40 questions and they will have 40 minutes to complete it. So pretty much 1 minute per question. So what I'll do today is go through a few questions, show the working out, and explain how to attempt each question. So question 1, Lena is tiling a square floor with each side 3 meters long. Tiles cost 45 per square meter. Which calculation gives the total cost of tiling the floor? Well, all we have to do is, the question says each side is 3 meters long and it's a square floor. So if we just draw a square and each side is 3 meters long, so 3, 3, 3, and 3, we know that we have to calculate the area. So we calculate the area of the square by length times width. So the area would equal 3 times 3, which equals 9. So it'll be 9 meters squared. So that's the total amount of area we need to cover. Now, the question also says it's $45 per square meter. So 1 square meter is $45. So 9 square meters will cost 9 times $45. So the answer to this one would be B. Question 2. If the pattern in the 3 boxes above is repeated in the 3 boxes below, then Q will equal. So for questions like this, you have to find a pattern. Now the pattern in this question is 3 times 4 gives you 12. So if we follow the same principle in this part here, 2 times what should equal 6. Now that's one way to figure it out. Let's just say we did something else, or if we did it the other way, right? So if we did 3 times 12, that does not equal 30. That does not equal 4. So it's not that method there. Another way that students can do or might try is 3 plus 12. But again, the answer isn't 4. So it's pretty much trial and error. But the more questions you do like these, the quicker you'll get at it. So solving this question at the bottom over here, 2 times what equals 6? The answer is 3. 2 times 3 gives you 6. So Q should equal 3. Okay, the next question. When George and Athena were married, 120 of the guests were Athena's family or friends. This was 60% of the total number of guests. How many guests were there in total? So when you get a question that gives you a percentage, it's always easy to break it down and find out how much 1% equals. So if there were 120 guests and 60% were part of Athena's family and friends, what we'll do now is try and find out how much 1% equals, right? So we're going to try to find out how much 1% equals. So if we divide this, we can cancel out the zeros. So it will be 12 over 6. So what this means now is there'll be 12 people for every 6%. So we can break it down further. 12 divided by 6 equals 2 over 1. So what this means is for every 1%, there will be 2 people. Okay? Now, the question says 60% were the number of guests. So if 1% equals 2 people, how we write this down to work it out is like this. So 1% equals 2 people. So 100% should equal X amount of people that attended the wedding. So 1 to 100, how do we go from 1 to 100? Well, all we do is times it by 100. So 1 times 100 gives you 100%. So based off that, we will do the same thing to this side here. So over here, to go from 1 to 100, we multiply it by 100. So we do the same thing here. So we will go 2 times 100 to find x. The answer to that is 200. So altogether, there are 200 guests. Okay, so question 4 to 6 refer to the following information. This is part of the timetable for the bus to the city. Question 4, it says Kylie can walk from home to bus stop number 6 in 8 minutes. What is the latest time she can leave home to be sure of getting to the city by 8:30? So she can get to the bus stop number 6, which is over here, in 8 minutes time. So to get there takes her 8 minutes. What is the latest time she can leave to get to the city by 8:30? So the city is stop number 15, and the latest she can get there, according to the question, should be 8:30. So we're going to use 8:21, because if she arrives at 8:41, she's going to be too late. So using this time here, 8:21, if we just trace it back up, you can see that this bus arrives at her location at 7:50. Now, if the bus arrives at station number 6 at 7:50, then she will have to leave home 8 minutes before that. So that would mean she'll have to leave home by 7:42. So the latest she can leave home is 7:42. If she leaves any later than that, she's going to be late. So looking at the question, we can see that B is 7:42. So that's the latest time she can leave home. Because if she leaves after 7:42, she will miss her bus. And if she arrives at the bus station after 7:50, she's going to arrive in the city after 8:30. So question 5. Peter travels from stop number 8 to the city each morning. His return journey each evening takes the same time as his morning bus ride. If he leaves the city at 8:41 p.m., what time will he reach stop number 8? So his return journey each evening takes the same time as his morning bus ride. So we can see that his stop is number 8, and he travels to the city each morning. So it says here, if he leaves the city at 8:41, when will he reach number 8? Well, let's go back up again. Number 8 is here, and the city is number 15. So all we have to do is find out how long does it take for the bus to go from 8 to 15. So if we just use one of the time, let's just use the first one. If we just use this one here, over here it's 7:19. And when it gets to the city, it's 7:41. Now if we just subtract the 2 times, it takes 22 minutes for the bus to arrive to the city. So looking at number 5, if he leaves the city at 8:41, what time will he reach stop number 8? It's just 5:41 plus 22 minutes. And we know that because over here it says his return journey takes the same time as his morning bus ride. So we use the morning bus ride, which is what we just did over here, to find out how long it takes, which is the same time, to calculate his return journey. Right? So if it's 5:41 when he leaves the city, all we have to do is add 22 minutes to this time. So let's just do it over here. 5:41, and we're going to add 22 minutes. So if you add 22 minutes to 5:41 p.m., that ends up being 6:03 p.m. So the answer to this is B. So question number 6. Which one of these statements about the bus timetable is correct? So in these types of questions, you actually have to go through all 4 available options to make sure that the answer you select is the correct one. So let's look at the first option. The longest time between stops is 5 minutes. Okay, let's look at the times. So let's just use the first one. 6:50 from the depot to number 2, that takes 5 minutes. That also takes 5 minutes. Fair enough. From number 2 to number 3, that takes 3 minutes. And then from number 3 to number 4, that takes, well, let's figure it out. So 58, 59, 7, 701, 702, 703, 704. So that's 6. So to go from station 3 to station 4 is 6 minutes. So we know that the longest time between stops is not 5 minutes. We know it's at least 6 minutes from the one that we just did. So it's not A. B, the total trip from the depot to the city takes always 61 minutes. So from the depot to the city. So from here all the way to the city. So let's calculate that. Now, the easiest thing to do here is we can choose any one of these times available at the top. So for convenience sake, we can just choose 9 o'clock because that's already rounded as a 0. So any time, any minutes added to it, that will just be the answer. So if it's 9 o'clock at the depot, then at the city, if we just follow this down, it's 9:51, which means it took the bus 51 minutes. So if you read B, the total trip from the depot to the city is always takes 61 minutes. We know it doesn't. C, from 8:30 onwards, it takes 10 minutes longer to get from the depot to the city from 8:30 onwards. So again, the depot is over here and the city is down here. Now the question says, or the question part C asks, from 8:30 onwards, it takes 10 minutes longer. So again, let's just use 9. Since 8:30 is here, we will choose 9 and we will choose 8:10 because it's asking for 8:30 longer and it's comparing that to before 8:30. So if we look at the time after 8:30, which is 9 o'clock, the one that we just did, we know that it takes 51 minutes. So if we look at the depot at 9 o'clock, we can see that it takes 51 minutes. So at 9, it takes 51 minutes. So according to the question, from 8:30 onwards, it takes 10 minutes longer to get from the depot to the city. If I choose 8:10, which is what we're going to do now, it should take 41 minutes if we calculate it. So let's do that. So if it's 8:10 when it leaves the depot, when it arrives to the city, it is now 9:01. So it arrives at 9:01. So if you just calculate the time, so to do that, we can just use our tens. So if it's 8:10, it will then be 8:20, 8:30, 8:40, 8:50, then 9 o'clock, which is 50 minutes, and then it's 9:01, so it's 51 minutes. So if the bus leaves at 8:10, it also takes 51 minutes. Which means C cannot be right. Now, you can just select D because we've eliminated the first three options, but it's always best to check that, the one that you select is right. So, let's do it. So, from 8:30 onwards, it is 10 minutes longer between buses leaving the depot. So, 8:30 onwards, it takes 10 minutes longer between the bus leaving the depot. So, again, we're going to do the same thing. Let's use a time before 8:30. So 8:30 is here. So 8:30 is here. And we're going to use a time before 8:30. So let's use 7:30 and 7:50. So if the bus leaves at 7:30, the next one leaves at 7:50. So there's a 20-minute difference. Over here, there's a 20-minute difference, yeah? Now, let's choose one after. So 9 o'clock and 9:30. So if one bus leaves at 9 and the next leaves at 9:30, that's 30 minutes. So we go from 20 to 30 minutes, which means it does take 10 minutes longer after 8:30. So the answer here is D. Question 7. The numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, and 12 can be arranged around a star so that the sum along each straight line is the same. 4 of the numbers are missing. Okay? Now, the question asks, the number missing at S is one of the following. So, S is over here, and we have to find out what S is. So, if we look at the question, it says the sum along each straight line is the same. So, if we look at one line and we add it up, each and every single line should add up to that exact same number. So this number here, 10 plus 6 plus 5 plus 3, that gives you 24. So what this means is each and every single line in the question should add up to 24. So if we want to calculate S, what we have to do is we can add this line over here, the one that starts at 6, or we can use this line here, the one that starts at 10 and finishes at 9. Now, the problem here is, if we use the line that starts at 6, we have 2 unknowns. If we use the one that starts at 10, again, we will have 2 unknowns as well. So let's try figuring out some of the blank spaces that are left over. Now, the one that we can figure out immediately would be this line here, because we have 3 options given to us. I'll just circle them for you. So we have 8, 5, 9, and we do not know this unknown here. So if we add them up, 8 plus 5 plus 9, that gives you 24. 2. Now we know that each line should be the same, like the question says, and we know that the first line we calculated was 24. So if so far this line adds up to 22, then that missing number here should be 2. So 2 belongs there. Now, if we look at the question says the numbers 1, 2, 3, 5, and so on can be arranged around this star. So what we have to do now is eliminate the numbers that are already on the star. So we'll start off at the top, so we've got 8 at the top, so I'm going to cross out 8, since we cannot use that number again. Next, we got 6, 5, 3, and 10, so we'll cross them out as well. So 6, 5, 3, and 10. Next, we will cross out the number 2, since we just did that one. Then we'll cross out number 9, which is all the way at the bottom. What this means is the only numbers available for us to use for the remaining spots, which is S, this one here, and the one at the bottom, is 1, 4, and 12. Now, the only way you can really do this is pretty much trial and error, unless you can figure it out. So what we're going to do now is, let's just say we place the number 12 over here. So over here, I'm going to assume I put the number 12 in. So now let's figure it out. What happens when we put the number 12 here? So if I put the number 12 here, S and this one here can only be 1 and 4. Okay, so let's see what happens. So if I go along this line here, 8 plus 3 plus 12, what does that give me? It's 23. Okay, now if I use the other line, this one here, which is 6 plus 2 plus 12, that gives me 20. So if I use this line here, the red one that I just drew in, and I place 12 at the bottom, then this number here will have to be 23 plus 1, as it needs to equal 24. So this number here should equal 1, so we'll cross that out, which means the remaining number, this one here, S, should equal 4. So does it? Well, we know that so far, if this one is 12, and this is 2, and this is 6, that adds up to 20 so far. So the one that needs to make up for it to be S would be 20 plus 4. And we know that the remaining number is 4. So the answer is C. Question 8. A piece of cardboard is folded to make 6 strips the same size. The strips are numbered as shown. The cardboard is bent along the folds and joined to make a hexagonal shape. When the tube is made, the side numbered 6 is opposite the side numbered the following options. So the question says it's a hexagon, or hexagonal shape. Hexagonal tube, sorry. So what that means is, if we looked at this shape from the top, or if we just drew a hexagon, the hexagon would have 6 sides, and we know it's joined, just as the question says. It's joined and it's hexagonal. What that means is it would look like this from the top if you connected it up. Now we know each side is numbered, so let's start at a side. So I'm going to label this side number 1, this side 2, this side 3, this side 4. So all I'm doing is I'm just folding it up as I'm going along. This one's 5 and this one here is 6. So if this number is 6, when you fold this paper up into a a tube, a hexagonal tube. If there's number 6, the one that's opposite is 3. So the answer is C. Question 9. Rita and Min look at some blocks from opposite sides. Min sees the dark rectangle, the white square, and the black sticks that are at the back. What does Rita see? So, based off this, if Rita is sitting on the opposite side of Min, what Rita will see first is the dark sticks, then the clear box, then the shaded in rectangle. So we need this order to occur. So if we look at the options, what one gives us the, again, dark stick, the clear square, and the shaded rectangle? Well, we only have 2 options that show us this, right? One of the options is A, and the other one is C. Because if you look at B is not correct, because we know for sure that it should be the sticks that come first. But over here, it's the rectangle that comes first, because this rectangle and the square is in front of the stick. But for Rita, she is seeing the stick first. And if we look at D, the same thing occurs. We've got the stick, we've got the shaded in rectangle and the cube in front of the stick. And again, Rita sees the stick first. So what this means is the only options available is A and C. So let's try to figure out what one she actually sees. So if Rita is staring at this shape, then you have to imagine that if this is her right hand side and this is her left hand side, then on the right hand side she will see the sticks, and on the left hand side she will see the shaded in box. And if we look at the bottom picture, or the options available to us, if you're looking at the screen right now, your right hand side will see that and your left hand side will see that. If you look at D, your right hand side, if you look at C, your right hand side will see this and your left hand side will see the sticks. So the answer is A, because on the right hand side you should see the sticks, and that's what occurs in A. Question 10. Irene's grandfather arrived in Sydney from Athens at 10 p.m. on Friday after a 25-hour trip. The flight began at 12 noon on Thursday, Athens time. What is the time difference between Athens and Sydney? Okay, so all we have to do here is calculate the time difference between the two countries. So, first things first, we know that the trip takes 25 hours. And the grandfather left at 12 noon on Thursday, Athens time. So let's figure out when he landed in Sydney at Athens time, because this time here is Sydney time. So what we're going to do is calculate when he arrived in Sydney, but according to the Athens time, right? So if he got on the plane at 12 noon, and this is a Thursday in Athens, and we also know that this is a 25-hour trip. So what we're going to do is now we're going to calculate what time, according to Athens, the grandfather arrived. So if it's 12 noon, what we do next is we are going to subtract 12 hours from the 25-hour flight time. So in 12 hours time, it's going to be 12 midnight in Athens. And now, since it's midnight, it will be Friday. Now, since 12 hours has passed, the plane only has 13 hours. So I'll just write that here. 13 hours left. So again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to subtract 12 hours and see where the plane is then. So again, in 12 hours from now, it's going to be 12 noon on Friday, Athens time. Now, since 12 hours has passed, the plane only has 1 hour left before it reaches Sydney. So in 1 hour's time, it's going to be 1 p.m. on Friday at Athens. So if it's 1 p.m. on Friday at Athens, and I'll just write that up here. So it's 1 p.m. And according to Sydney, when he arrives, it's 10 p.m. on a Friday in Sydney. We can see that at any given time, because the top time, or the one at 1 p.m., that is the time he landed in Sydney according to Athens. So what this means is, when it's 10 p.m. in Sydney, it's 1 p.m. in Athens, which means Athens is actually 9 hours behind. So if we go through the options, Athens time is 9 hours behind Sydney time. The answer is A. So I will leave it there for this lesson. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. If you would like to get these lessons face to face, click on the link below, and that will take you to our website where you can get more information. Thanks.